I want to tell you guys about my journey of going grain-free with my horses. It has officially been a little over a year since I started this journey, and it has been the best decision I've ever made. My horses look absolutely incredible, and it was a little frustrating at first, so you guys are about to get a first-hand glance at kind of my journey through this, so I hope you enjoy. Oh, hello. Okay, before I jump into this and leave you guys with absolutely no context, let me explain this really quick. So when I first started this, my goal was to feed, I think it was something around a scoop and a half of this. I had cubes at the time, but it was just alfalfa. I think my goal was to feed something like 2 scoops. For the Renew Gold, the ration is always the same. So it's half a pound each feeding. And then this is what my horses were currently on. So this was my goal here. But this is what they were currently on. It was Heritage High Fat Senior. And I think Tidal was getting a scoop and a half. And Finn was getting 2 scoops. AM and PM. So this is a whole lot of grain. And I'm going to break down basically what I did for the transition. But this is the High Fat Senior by Big V. It's got rice bran and coconut meal. And then they will get alfalfa Timothy cubes that will be soaked, along with the beet pulp that will be soaked as well. Can you stop? She's biting me. I noticed they didn't eat all their food, so I've got some molasses and mixed it with water and just kind of top dressed it. Tidal, once I did that, he was super happy about it. He wanted to eat it right up. Finn, he didn't really touch it, but he had alfalfa in his stall, so that's probably was a little bit more appeasing to him. My horses are still not eating their alfalfa Timothy cubes. I've tried mixing it with the grain. I've tried everything. I've tried mixing it different ways, giving it different times, different soaking it with less water, soaking it with more water, and I can't really seem to find something that they're used to. So I think the common factor here is that I am doing this a little too quickly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of revise my schedule. What I'll probably do is bump up more of the beet pulp instead of the alfalfa cubes, just until they're eating it better. Hello, Kiki. Hi, baby. He could use a little bit more weight, but overall I'm quite happy with how he looks. I bumped up a little bit more of his grain, and he's already kind of a thinner type horse, so I've been backing off of riding him a lot more. He's just been kind of chilling, at least this week, because I want him to gain some more, so I haven't really been doing much with him. I've treated him for ulcers already for probably around 60 days, but overall I'm pretty happy with him. Here's the smiling horse being a goose. He's pawing, so I'm not hurrying up with this treat. Why do you look so mad? He doesn't want to be in right now, that's why. Tidal's very salty about it. What I did was, I did this way too quickly, so don't be like me. I think I got a little bit overzealous, and I was really excited about this, and I did it in a month. Typically when it's a big change like this, that's way too short a time, so you're gonna want to go a lot longer than that. That is one thing I regret, and I would have done it differently now. We cannot talk about forage-based diet without forage. So, my horses were initially on Coastal Bermuda. They were getting somewhere between 2 flakes and 5 flakes a day. And they really didn't eat too terribly much of this. Coastal Bermuda is not a really high quality hay anyways, so they really just didn't prefer that. So before I get into the orchard alfalfa mix, Currently what I was doing at this time is I was buying those bags of hay from Tractor Supply that are squished up. I was getting Timothy and alfalfa. And I was mixing those two by hand. Bless Raul, who works at the barn. They were getting about, let's say a flake is 5 pounds. They were probably getting around, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 30 pounds a day. So that was what I was doing currently. Hay cubes. He usually eats them after he eats his beet pulp. Hey, bud. And he's working on his beet pulp and Renew Gold. I only get like half a pound at each feeding, so it's not a lot. Oh, look, there's my help. Baby, what are you doing? Good boy. Struggling. Good job. Except flip it over. It's inside out.
What?
It's inside out.
Well, I'm not gonna ride like that.
No, no. See? Yeah, there you go. Hey, forever. Baby? Baby? Did you see that? What? What's the matter? Hey, Vinny. You look very good, buddy. Finn is definitely feeling good. I'll tell you that. I'd like for Finn's coat to be more shiny because Tidal just looks, he looks like glass right now. You just can't tell. Maybe I'll go on this side. We can see you shine. The lighting is gonna be trash. Okay, at this point, I just realized watching back that I did not write down how much of the heritage they were currently getting, and I did not save any of my transition. I wrote everything out. I did not save any of that. So I'm just gonna go through what they're getting at this point in time. So they both get half a pound of this AM plus PM. So that's 1 pound a day. Sorry, fix that. Then they were getting, Tidal was getting 1.5 scoop of beet pulp. So that is 2.3 pounds. So twice a day, that's 0.6 pounds. So that's quite a good bit a day. For Tidal, Finn was getting 2 scoops of that, and that was 3 pounds each. So that was, or let's say 3 pounds each, and that was 6 pounds a day. A lot of beet pulp. Then this says pellets, but I was feeding cubes at the time. Finn got 1 scoop once a day, so that was only 2 pounds a day. And then Tidal got 3/4 a scoop, so that was 1.5 pounds a day. So that's what they were getting as far as the transition. For New Gold, I use this scoop. Finn gets 2 scoops of beet pulp and Tidal gets a scoop and a half. Tidal's yellow. This is Finn's. This is what Finn gets. Scoop. Tidal. I've done some more research, and I found that I'm actually feeding a little bit too much. So you're only really supposed to feed around 3 pounds a day, is what most of the sources are saying, and they're currently getting more than that, especially Finn. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take them down off more beet pulp, and they'll basically be getting more hay cubes instead. So that's my plan for now, and we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, so after that, what changed is the amount of hay cubes they got bumped up. So I started feeding somewhere between 1 3/4 a scoop to 2 scoops once a day. So that was, let's see, 1 scoop of hay cubes is 1 pound. So if I was feeding both of them 2 scoops a day, that would be 4 pounds a day. Then what also changed was because I was feeding so much, the beet pulp got bumped down to 3/4 a scoop a day. So that was 1.3 pounds, which would actually be 2.6 pounds a day. So that's way better than what I was feeding. Moral of the story is, don't feed over 3 pounds of beet pulp a day. Increase their calories with hay cubes or pellets instead. Just in case you were wondering, Finn sprained his ankle in turnout, so his leg's wrapped currently. So during this time, Finn has been pretty lonely, and he was having a lot of stress and stress-related behavior. And so I have a mini in my house. His name's Pal, and he's just been bullied by my horses. So I figured Pal could get a nice break and come be Finn's friend if everything worked out. What do you think? Vinny? Vinny? Ty, who is that? Pal's probably about to squeal. Pal doesn't care. What do you think? You're okay. I think he's scared of Pal. Like, Finn likes to walk. He won't stand over here. He goes to walk to that back side of the pasture and watch the neighbor's horses from across the street. So I wanted to fix that anxiety issue, and I think Pal is going to be my right-hand man. This is going to be the only issue. Bucket. And I'm going to have to place them higher. Doesn't try to get them. So here's Finn. Good boy, Pal. Good boy. And Pal's been there, done that. He's like, not, he's super chill. His attention's still directed that way. Pal. But I can tell he's beginning to relax a lot more, so I'm happy about that. This is good for Pal, and it's super awesome for Finn, too. This was exactly around the time when Finn started showing signs of EPM, so I went ahead and treated him because I've dealt with so many EPM horses, and we just took some time off. So something I'd really like to note here is how deep and rich their coats are. They're very, very dark and bright and shiny, but also hoof quality. Their hoof quality is so much better. I ended up taking Tattle's shoes off later in the year, but we'll get to that. When I had my first thoroughbred, I spent so much of my time stressing over his coat, and I knew I could have done something better. If I could have seen my horses now, oh my gosh, it would be a different story. Good job. On July 26th of 2022, I switched over to an orchard alfalfa blend, and my horses do really well on this. In the winter, they get a lot more than they do in the summer because the pastures that they're in are sufficient. But in the winter, they get, let's see, Tidal gets around 3 to 4 flakes, AM and PM. And then Finn gets 4 to 5 AM and PM. And this is what they're currently on right now. So I want to talk a little bit about how I started this. So I went in literally just Googling as much as I possibly could about going grain-free, about ulcers, about suppressing stomach acid, and I just started. There wasn't a lot of resources on how to do it, what to feed. I really just had to do some digging, and it was mostly just trial and error. He cut up / bonked his right hock, and as you can tell, I think he's quite happy with it. It's nice and relaxed, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's it from the side. I just wanted to include a little bit about him bumping his hock because, one, I'm getting my KT taping certification, but also because we had to get a lot of physical issues lined out between his ankle when he sprained it, and then his hock, and then EPM. His health was just really a priority before trying to get him where I envisioned him. This is when I had my horse's diets analyzed and found out they were deficient in copper and zinc. Here is Finn's before video, before he gets put on his copper and zinc supplement. And here is Finn after being on his copper and zinc supplement for 3 weeks. He just wants the alfalfa. I just wanted to include some riding videos in here because after a long year of not being able to ride Finn and dealing with and working through a lot of his health issues, to be able to ride him was just super rewarding and really, really nice. So the finished product. My horses now, January of 2023, they get half a scoop of beet pulp, which is 0.8 pounds. That twice a day equals 1.6 pounds a day. Then they now get pellets. All this is soaked, mind you. Finn gets 3/4 a scoop right now, and Tidal gets half a scoop of this, AM and PM, and that comes out to roughly, I didn't measure this weight-wise, so I'm just gonna kind of take a guess here. So this is probably gonna come out to close to 3 pounds, just guessing. And this is probably going to come out closer to 1.8 pounds. That's just similar to what a normal textured grain would be. That's the weight that I calculated, so these might be slightly different or slightly off. But that twice a day is 6 pounds a day and 3.6 pounds a day. And then they get half a pound each of their Renew Gold, and that is 1 pound a day. So this is what they get a day. Hi everybody, I'm in the feed room, and I'll just show you guys the final result. The ration balancer, alfalfa Timothy pellets, beet pulp. Can we see? Okay. Then he gets 3/4 of this, half a scoop of beet pulp, and then half a pound of his ration balancer, which he gets twice a day. They're still getting the Orchard Alfalfa blend twice a day. Did you get him? Good job, you got him. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that maybe if you guys are feeling like this is kind of a decision that you want to make, that this helped kind of give you some clarity in that. It all kind of started when I was treating a lot of my client horses for ulcers, and so out of that I did a lot more research about ulcers, and I learned that management practices are a big contributor to ulcers, but also the way that we feed grain, and just feeding grain in general, is actually really detrimental to the horse's body. So when you feed grain, what happens is the body actually becomes inflamed, and so they're in this like constant inflamed state. So when I took my horses off grain, the first thing I noticed is they looked a little bit skinnier, but realistically it was actually the fact that their bodies weren't inflamed anymore. And I have a title. He's my horse I've had since I was 11. He has some metabolic stuff, and he's always had a little bit of a pot belly, but going grain free, he looks probably the best he's looked in the almost 12 years that I've owned him. Even as a young horse, when he was like 11, 12, around there, he always still looked, quite pot-bellied. But since starting this, he looks amazing. He's actually not so round, and it looks like he has a gut. It doesn't look like he has a gut anymore. My thoroughbred, Finn, who is really, really anxious and kind of a hard keeper, he looks absolutely amazing. He has been grain-free for a year as well. And I've never run into any issues regarding weight or being worried like, well, he's a thoroughbred, he can't necessarily do this because that he needs a lot more calories. That was totally untrue. He's a little bit of a hard keeper anyway, and he looks better. In fact, the weight that they are now, it's a different kind of weight. Like, it's hard to describe, but I guess it's because the inflammation is gone. They're not so like pudgy, but they're filled out. Like, even my ribby, I got 2 thoroughbreds in, and they were just slightly ribby. And since putting them on grain free, they are no longer ribby, and they don't have any grass belly. They look really great, and so I contribute that a lot to management, yes, 24/7 turnout, barefoot, but a lot of feeding practices and how that actually helps the horse's body function the way it was designed to function. So forage based is always the best way to feed your horse. Just scientifically, it is how the horse was designed to digest food, to suppress stomach acid. And if you're not feeding forage based and you're running into problems like ulcers, it cannot hurt to try. And I'm telling you guys, you will see a huge difference. So if your horse is not forage based, what happens is you're feeding a large amount of grain at once, and so the stomach acid in the body, in the stomach, is not designed to digest that slowly. So what happens is the acid builds up and it gets rid of that grain relatively quickly, and then you're left with a lot more stomach acid, and the body lacks the forage to kind of suppress that acid. So what happens is when you put your horse on forage-based diet, it kind of goes back to, their body kind of goes back to basics. It kind of goes back to how they were originally designed to do things, how God created them. So when they're fed forage 24/7, that the the way it's chewed up, and the stems and the leaves and everything in their stomach actually suppresses that acid, and it's way easier to digest, and you don't run into so many ulcers in horses. Like I treat mostly all of mine for ulcers when I first get them in, just because I know that forage based is not necessarily what everybody's doing. And again, like I was saying, if your horse isn't forage based, you're very, very likely going to run into ulcers, as it's prevalent in 90% of performance horses. That's a whole different topic for another day. But I really want to, my goal with this is I want to inspire change in a way that doesn't make people feel shame or attacked. I really just kind of want to come from a place of like, hey, here's this other way. It's science-based, but it actually helps your horses too, and you shouldn't feel shame, because nobody wants to hurt their horses. Nobody does. Even people who have, you know, have traditional training methods that can be a little bit harsh. Nobody wants to hurt their horses. I don't care who you are, unless you're just a sociopath, crazy person. So I think what happens is when these more natural methods are recommended, people feel attacked because they feel like they're saying they feel like they're being judged, that they hurt their horses, they're meaning to hurt their horses. That is not true at all. However, there is a more science-based method that works better for your horses, and all it takes is just an open mind to learn about what it is. That's it. And yeah, if y'all want to hear more about kind of like my journey and how I kind of went down this track, please let me know, and I appreciate you guys for watching. So y'all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.